I'm like, hold up. Is that David coming out the bathroom with Big Thomas? So I went to his cell, right? And I waited for him. So when he walked in, I said, "What's up, David?" He was like, "Oh, what's up, Donta?" I said, "What was you doing in the law library?" He was like, "Oh, I wasn't." So I got up and I grabbed him, right? And I threw him on the bed and I pulled out the sword of justice. I said, "Didn't I tell you you can't be in here acting like that? Didn't I tell you don't be moving like that around here?" He was like, hold on, I didn't mean to. Big Thomas, he grabbed me. I said, "Why was you with him? Why would you with him?" I'm going to tell you right now, I'm not giving your mama that money back that she paid me to protect your ass, and you going to the hole. You hear me? You hear me? He was like, "Please, Donta, don't hurt me. Don't hurt me. I don't want you to punish me. Don't punish me no more. Please, don't punish me."
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
Welcome to another episode of Donta's Story Time.
Oh, shit. Here we go again.
So I got my white sheet up, right? And I get a knock at the cell door. Doom, 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 doom. I'm like, "Who that?" "Al, man, it's Al." I'm like, "What's up? What's up, man?" He like, "Listen, I got a phone call for you that you need to take like right now." I'm like, "Who is it?" He like, "Man, some money." I said, "Some money?" He was like, "Yeah." I said, "Well, come on through," right? So he come in the cell, he moved the white sheet to the side. I ain't in there doing nothing, y'all. Sometimes I just want some privacy, right? So he give me the phone and he walk out. So I'm like, "Hello?" So the woman like, "Hey, is this Donta?" I'm like, "Yeah, what's up? Who is this?" She was like, "Listen, some guys put me in touch with you. They said that you might be able to help me and my son. My son name is David, and I want to tell you what he did to go to prison." I'm like, "Okay, what's up?" She was like, "Well, he was dating this girl when he was 17 and she was 16, and then he turned 18 and the mama pressed charges on him, but now she's 17 and he's basically 1 year older than her, and they hit him with statutory." I'm like, "Okay." So she was like, "And I heard about what happened to guys that have bad charges, but again, I was told that you are the guy that I need to talk to protect my son." So I said, "What's his name again?" She was like, "David." I said, "Is he here yet?" She was like, "Yeah, he's in reception." I said, "Okay." I said, "Well, check this out. I need for you to send me his paperwork, okay? Send me his paperwork, get in contact with his lawyer or whatever so I can go through the paperwork. And if everything check out, if he was just 1 year older than her, then, hey, I don't see no problem with that." Let me put a pause right there. Let me ask the audience, because I could be wrong, right, in my way of thinking. Is it okay for a guy that's 17 to date a 16-year-old? And then when he turned 18 and she's still 16, but in a couple months she about to turn 17. You see what I mean? So is that okay or is not okay, right? Let me know in the comment section. So I said, okay, just have his lawyer, send me the paperwork or whatever, and I'm going to talk to my people and I'm going to see can I get him moved over here with me. So she was like, "Okay, how much is it going to cost me?" I said, "Well, I don't want to quote you right now until I actually look at this paperwork because you might not be telling me everything and I don't want to be caught with a hot potato, you feel me?" She said, "Okay, I perfectly understand that." Now, we're going to fast forward maybe 2 days later. I get his paperwork and it checks out. It checks out. The only thing that went wrong in his state and got him convicted because the age of consent was 17 years old. And at the time, she was 16. But they only 1 year apart. So he was 17, she was 16, and well, they got him. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, it checks out. So I put the word in. So I got him moved. So when he got out of intake, and for those that don't know what intake is, it's basically when you first get to prison, wherever you at, it's called quarantine, where you is getting your shots. They doing medical evaluations, psych evaluations. They evaluating. They just figuring out who you are and trying to classify you. Okay, so he gets out, right, and he hit the unit. Now I'm waiting on him, and I let the homies know to be looking out for this little white dude named David, right? So when he comes in, this dude looks straight up like Harry Potter. I'm talking about, I thought it was Harry Potter when he walked in there. This dude wasn't nothing but, what, 5'6", 5'7", couldn't have been more than 115. I give him 118. This was a little white guy, right? And I'm looking at him, and this dude is beat red. Okay, he's beat red, and you can tell, like, I don't know, was dudes trying to yell at him, scream on him, and terrify him, or whatever he thought, but he was beat red. You can just tell this dude was terrified, right? So I'm like, David. So he's standing there with his stuff, right, with his bed and, his hygiene and all that. I said, come here, man, come here. So he looking around. I said, man, come here, man, come here. So he walked over there. I said, your name David, right? He was like, yeah. I said, your mom's name, I can't say her name right here. I said, your mom name? He said, yeah, how you know? I said, come with me. So we get to my cell, right? I said, listen, I already went through your paperwork. You ain't got nothing to worry about. Your mama broke me off already, and I'm here to protect you and make sure nobody do anything to you. He like, oh, thank God, because, I didn't. I said, listen, I don't really give a fuck what you did, okay? You need to listen right here, right now, because they gave you a year and 6 months, okay? You probably only got to do maybe 6 or 7 months, okay? But this little 6, 7 months that you got to do could potentially turn into a life sentence or worse, okay? I said, sit down right there on the desk. He's like, well, okay. I said, listen, I'm going to teach you how to survive in here, okay? I'm going to show you and teach you the do's and don'ts, okay? So that way you can leave out this prison the same way you came in, but a little bit more smarter and stronger. He's like, okay. I said, now listen, do you smoke? He was like, I smoke a little bit of weed. I said, well, you can't smoke no more. That's out. That's totally out. You ain't smoking. He said, can I ask you a question? I said, what's up? He was like, why I can't smoke? I said, let me tell you. In here, it ain't nothing but predators. Nothing but predators. And I'm just got to be honest with you. You are prey. You soft. It ain't nothing that you can do to anybody in this unit, or let alone in this prison. Okay, so just listen to me. The reason why you can't smoke, because you might get a guy that say, yeah, you can smoke with me. You don't got to buy nothing. Just smoke with me, right? And you going to go in the cell with him, and he done laced it with sleeping pills, all type of stuff. So you in there getting high in a mug, right? And then you end up nodding off and passing out in this dude's cell, and he end up taking your manhood. So Lil David, we're going to call him Lil David, little white guy. We're going to call him Lil David. Lil David like, are you serious? I say, yeah, that type of go down up in here, man. It's all type of traps and tricks that goes down up in here, man. So that's a reason why you shouldn't smoke. Another reason why that you shouldn't smoke is because you might get a guy that might sell you some bud or whatever, and he might say, okay, this is $100, right? But then he might hit you with, especially if you get it, let's say the bud is $100, right? You being you, when it's time to pay him, especially you borrow on credit, he might say, no, homeboy, that was for that day. Interest, you owe me $800 for this bud, right? And then how you gonna pay that? How you gonna pay it? Dudes play games like that all the times. And especially on dudes like you, man. Because I ain't gonna lie. If your mama wasn't paying me, as soon as you walked up in here, I would have been thinking, oh, I got me a white boy. I got somebody that's going to take care of me until I can't use him no more. I would have squeezed every dollar out of you. I mean, every dollar. I'm talking about like a wet towel. I would have just took every dollar out of you. But that ain't the way I program. I offer protection, okay? So just leave the drugs alone. Leave the drugs alone, okay? Another thing, I run a store. You do not borrow nothing from nobody. You come to me and ask me if you need something, okay? Your mom's is paying a fee, a substantial fee for me to look out for you. And part of that fee of what she giving me is for me to take care of your canteen, okay? So you have no reason to be asking anybody for anything, all right? Now, I have a crew of guys, okay? And they stand up men, okay? And they are here to protect you. I'm going to introduce you to the guys a little later, okay? If me or my homies ain't around and somebody pressing you, come to me immediately. Go to one of my homeboys immediately and let them know what the situation is, okay? He like, okay, bet, okay, I got you. And I said, the last thing but not least, okay, you cannot, by no circumstances at all. Matter of fact, before I say that, are you gay? He was like, oh, no, heck no, not at all. I said, you sure? He like, no, man, heck no, my girlfriend, I'm in here for my girlfriend. I said, okay, I just need to know because this might dictate some other things, okay? He was like, no, I'm 100% straight, man. That's why I'm glad you protected me because I don't want to be gay in here. I said, I got you. And let me say something right quick, y'all. The reason why I asked him that is because there was a couple of times where me and my crew got put in a predicament, a messed up predicament, right? Where you had Sweet Low, Freaky Freddy, Big Thomas pursuing one of these guys and they flirting with him, but then or they owe him something, and then when it's time to collect, or he came, or Big Thomas or somebody that came on too strong because this person damn near led them on, then they want to come to me, and it's a big old drama. And I told the homies, after that last altercation with Peaches, I said, you know what? We not getting involved in no more of these situations where we got to protect somebody that's from living that lifestyle from somebody that's really living that lifestyle. So we just going to leave that alone unless the money is over at least $10,000, all right? At least let it be worth the headache. So we get that clear. So I said, listen, don't hang around homosexuals. Outside of that, you good, man. So he like, all right, thank you. So I said, come with me, man. I'm finna introduce you to everybody, right? So he put all this stuff down. He walking with me. So I'm like, look, the dynamics in this prison, I mean, everybody pretty much know me, but you cannot walk side by side with me. You got to walk in back of me, right? He was like, oh, okay, yes, sir. And let me explain that to y'all. In prison, it's the law of the jungle. It's dog eat dog. And when I say this part, I just want y'all to listen. I was a predator, okay? I was a predator, but I wasn't a sexual predator. The type of predator I was, well, I can't even say a predator. I was an apex predator, right? Meaning I will rob, steal, and kill somebody over what I believe, all right? And if you violate any of them things, I will do any of them things to you. And I'm willing to go to the maximum, to the max, okay, of what I do. So in order to be an apex predator, you got to move a certain way. If you walking with somebody that's inferior to you, and I'm not talking about no race things, I'm talking about prison politicals, right? Political things. If somebody is inferior to you, like the young white boy David, he has no right to be walking side by side with me, okay? He has to walk in back of me, and that's just what it is. This is prison politics, y'all. This is what separates the men from the boys, all right? So I told him he had to, walk behind me. And he was like, hey, can I ask you a question right quick? I said, what's up? He was like, well, I heard that, if a guy is holding another guy's pocket, he's his property. He owns him. So we halfway out the cell, and I turn around, and I say, go back in the cell, man. So he's like, well, what's going on? So I kind of barked on him a little bit. Yeah, I told him, I said, listen, you do belong to me. We gonna have to, I don't want to put my hands on you, but I might have to put my hands on you because I can tell you might start overstepping. He's like, wait, what did I say? I said, listen, you do not talk. You do not speak unless I allow you to speak. I'm trying to, and I know y'all, it kind of seems like I'm trying to bully him. No, I'm trying to protect him. Because if he get out there saying the wrong things to the wrong person, it's lights out. It's lights out for him. So I'm teaching him the game, right? And I tell him, yes, and in a way, I do own him. Why? Because his mother is paying me to protect him. And yes, it might sound harsh, okay? It might even be harsh. But I'm trying to make sure this dude get out in 6 or 7 months, okay? So I tell him, yes, I do own you. I own you, okay? You need to do what I tell you when I tell you to do it. He's like, okay. I said, it ain't no okay. I said, matter of fact, get down. Get down right now and give me 30 push-ups right now. He's like, okay. So he get up. I said, man, there ain't no push-ups. Go all the way down to the floor and then come up. Go down and then come up. And I said, count them off. He's like, 1, 2, 3. So he do the 20, so he get up. I said, listen, I'm going to build you mentally, physically, and spiritually. Okay, now come on, let's go. We finna go meet the homies. So we leave out and he walking behind me. So the homies are already down there in the day room, and people done heard me bark on them already. When I told them, get down and give me 20 push-ups. They like, what D got going on up in there, right? So we get out there, right? And I'm like, yo, this the homie Al, this the homie Tar T, this Homicide, this J-Bo, this J-Rock, this DK, this Rambo. I'm introducing him to the crew or whatever. I'm like, y'all, he's a part of us right now. We got him for about 6 months to a year. I'm going to break y'all off, because these the homies. In order for me to program the way I was programmed, I had to have these good men around me to execute the things that I need to be executed from my will, right? For me to impose my will on other inmates, I had a crew, right? And they executed it for me. And I had to break them off, a little piece of the chain, right? So I'm introducing them. They talking to them, whatever, right? So he like, yeah, what's up? So he just conversated with him, right? So I'm like, all right, I'm about to, we finna walk the yard. So we walk in the yard or whatever. He just looking around, just looking, and he just staring at people. And I noticed he caught the eye of Big Thomas, right? Big Thomas is over there on the weight pile, and he just looking at him. And I see David looking at him, because now Big Thomas is a really big guy. He's about 6'3", maybe about 270, jacked up guy, right? And I don't know, is David infatuated with this guy's size or whatever, but he's looking at him, So Big Thomas, he's on his back lifting the bar, whatever he put up. He sit there and he like, "What's up, white boy?" Right? And so I turn and look, and he like, "What's up, D?" I said, "What up, man?" He said, who the white boy?" I said, "He with me." He said, "Oh, okay, my bad. Respect, right?" So now I could be wrong. Because the sun was glaring at this time. But I could have sworn when I like turned to the right to keep walking, my eye caught him winking at David, right? And David cheeks got red, like his cheeks got red, like rosy. And I was like, did this dude just blush? So I'm like, all right, whatever. So we walk in the yard, I'm just, still telling him the do's and don'ts. I'm going to spare y'all the details about the do's and don'ts. So we end up getting back to the unit, right? And I'm telling him like, well, he was like, "Hey, what time do we eat? What time do we eat?" I was like, "Look, we don't go to the mess hall. All our meals is made up in here. We don't do that. The only time we go there if we get chicken or hamburgers or hot dogs. That's the only time we go there. Right now, I think they having goulash all this week or whatever." So he was like, "Oh, okay, cool." So I'm going to fast forward to a week later because nothing eventful happened. Nothing really worth mentioning happened here. 1 week later, right, I had to go on a visit. Now, through that week, he wasn't always with me, and I assume maybe he was around one of my homeboys, but he wasn't. So, unbeknownst to me, he's been conversating with Big Thomas, right? And this is how I found out. So I'm on a visit, right? And when you come back from a visit, they strip you butt naked. They strip you butt booty hole naked, right? You got to bend over, spread your cheeks, and cough, right? And they want to make sure that your visitor didn't pass you something that you trying to put up your manhole, right? So I'm in there doing a humiliation ritual. That's what I call it, humiliation ritual. So I get dressed or whatever, and as I'm coming down the corridor, right, because we got to walk in this line against the wall or whatever. As I'm coming down this corridor, I see Big Thomas kind of jogging to the right towards the law library, right? And then I see little David like dart that way too. Now, I can't say nothing, like, "Hey, what's going on?" Because in this hallway, in this corridor, you have to be quiet and you have to walk a line. So I'm thinking to myself, like, what the fuck? What? So when I get back to the unit, I asked the captain, because the captain was working at the time. I'm like, "Hey, can I go to the law library for a minute?" So, he wrote me the pass, whatever. So off I went. I go in the law library, y'all. I don't see him. I don't see little David. I don't see Big Thomas at all. So I'm literally going aisle through aisle, right? And I'm checking the corner. They have a bathroom in here, right? So I'm like, damn, where did they go? Maybe they left. Maybe I'm tripping. So I'm leaving out, right? So I'm like, man, what the? So I go to the bathroom, right? And I like yank on the door thing and it's locked. And I hear Big Thomas say, "Oh, hold on. I'm in here. So I'm like, "Oh, my bad. So I walk out a little bit and I'm sitting, I'm like, let me see something. So I duck behind this bookcase, right? And about 3 minutes later, the door kind of opened a little bit and Big Thomas popped his head out. He looking to the left, he looking to the right, and he just darted out. So I'm like, okay. And then about 5 seconds later, David looked out and he just walked out. So I'm standing there, I'm like, what the I said, okay, I'm gonna have to holler at him. So I go back to the unit, right? And I'm waiting on him. I'm in his cell. He ain't got no cellmate. I'm in his cell. So he comes in. He like, hey, what's up, Dante? I said, what was you doing with Big Thomas in the bathroom? He said, huh? I said, what was you doing with Big Thomas in the bathroom? He was like, I wasn't. When he said I wasn't, I grabbed him like this, right? I grabbed him right here by his shirt. I said, what was you doing with Big Thomas in the bathroom? He said, wait, I said, what was you doing? Didn't I? He was like, wait, hold on. I had to tell you something. I got to tell you something. I said, you better spit it out. What? He like, look, just give me a minute. I said, listen, I told you day one, I don't play them type of games. I asked you, was you like that? I asked you, did you get down like that? And you told me no, right? You told me no, right? He was like, yeah, but just wait. I said, what happened? What happened? He was like, look, them days that I wasn't around you, you know, he approached me and he was telling me like, yo, he could give me this and he could give me that or whatever. And I told him no, like for the first 2 days, but he just kept coming to me and approaching me, giving me things. And I eventually started taking them. I said, I told you not to do that, man. Didn't he said, yeah, I know, but I didn't want to say nothing to you because I knew you was going, you told me not to do this, but I did it anyway and I was afraid. I said, let me guess. He told you had to give him something, right? That you couldn't pay him back. He said, yeah. I said, I told you. This is why I told you what to do and what not to do, bruh. He was like, I know. But he told me that he was going to kill me if I didn't meet him in the bathroom. And, man, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry, bruh. I said, listen, this what you going to have to do. You're going to call your mother. Matter of fact, hold up. So then I go to my little stash and I get the phone. I said, you is going to call your mama and you going to tell her that she going to have to fulfill this contract. And then you are going to go to the hole. You're going to check in and say you fear for your life. Okay? You're only going to be in the hole for 3 months. And then you're going to get out. He said, what's in the hole? I said, you're going to be in solitary confinement. Because I'm not going to be able to protect you any longer. Because of what you around here doing. So you're going to go to the hole. So call your mama. So he get on the phone. He call his mama. She give me the phone. He give me the phone. I talk to his mama. She understand. Right? I didn't tell her, you know, the thing that him and Big Thomas was doing, right? But I let her know, like, yo, he gonna have to go to the hole now, but I need for you to send the rest of that money. Hold on, y'all. So, side note, the deal that me and his mother struck, right, was for me to protect him for a whole year. And she was paying me monthly installments, okay? And it was a nice chunk of change that she owed me, right? But because I wasn't going to make no more money off of him, I just called in the whole contract, you understand? And, you know, I told her, like, you know, you're going to have to pay the remaining balance of this debt or something is going to happen to him, right? So, you know, she had the money. She wired the money to the green dot and everything was good, right? Let me tell you all something. Prison is so messed up. And it's a place that is so diabolical to the point that I remember one night, right, I was laying in the bed, staring at the ceiling. And I said, God, I don't supposed to be here. I do not supposed to be here at all. Please just let me out of here, right? Tell me why, when David got out of the hole, he actively sought out Big Thomas. Now, I can't give y'all word for word verbatim, but I was told by an ear hustler that white boy David approached Big Thomas and said that he wanted to be with him. And he wanted to be with him when he get out of prison. Apparently, Big Thomas and him was communicating, writing each other letters or whatever. And when he got out the hole, he was with Big Thomas, y'all. And when I seen them together, I was like, psh, well, I got my bread. What's up, y'all? If y'all enjoyed this story, make sure y'all leave me a tip. Also, I got another channel. If y'all can't get enough of these stories, subscribe to my other channel. Over there, I tell creepy stories. Y'all will enjoy them. I'm going to have the link pinned at the top of the comment section. Also, y'all, I got my Patreon pinned at the top of the comment section, too. Y'all make sure y'all go check it out. And don't act like y'all don't see that Cash App. Don't forget to hit the like button, y'all. With that, y'all, I'll see y'all on the next one.